Greetings Internet! Today I am proud to welcome you to my first ever YouTube video here on this channel, and any channel actually, as this is my first ever YouTube channel. So it's a very exciting time and we're going to have a great time as well. And I only hope that you enjoy the videos that are to come as I try to make more of a commitment here on this channel. And while you're here, leave a comment down in the comment section and you can be the first person to ever comment on this channel. You will literally be making history. But on that note, let's begin, and what better place to begin than to begin at the beginning, with prologues. So what even is a prologue? Well, a prologue is a storytelling device, much like other things in how a story has a three-act structure, or a theme, or archetypes, or symbolism, or Dan Harmon's circle, or metaphors, and of course, plot. Prologues are narrative tools to open up the story before the story even begins. They're one of the most important elements to a story, but incidentally, they're actually one of the most optional story elements as well. You see them a lot in fantasy movies or sci-fi movies, anything that really requires an in-depth explanation into understanding. For example, if you need to know about a divided war between two alien robot faction groups, or if you need to know about a ring that can control the will of man and destroy everything. It's kind of important to understand that a bit before the actual story that you're going to be watching is in. It can give a lot of background context to the story as well as providing or setting the tone for the film. In this case, for Bumblebee, it's setting that high intense adrenaline thrill rush. For things like Thor, it's setting a more casual paced fantasy element to it, one that will enhance the audience's mysticism into the film and give it that whimsical fantasy element that's required in order to understand the gods and the mythos of Nordic mythology. So a really common trope with prologues is to have a narrator or to use narration. And what this will do is provide a clear and concise exposition so that the audience will understand clearly what they need to know before the story starts. Like with Thor, for instance, knowing who the Asgardians are and setting up the Frost Giants as villains.
They knew to fear. From a realm of cold and darkness came the Frost Giants. But humanity would not face this threat alone.
While with movies like Lord of the Rings and Thor, this can really add to the tone of the movie, as a prologue should. In some cases, I definitely feel that they can be used simply as a means of function to provide information rather than adding to the film in a more thematic, more captivating way. However, narration is not the only way to include with a prologue. You can have it go even lazier and just have text fly across the screen. And it works. But sometimes the cleverest writing comes in the form when the dialogue between two characters serves as that narration.
Do you really think it's safe, leaving him with these people? I've watched them all day. They're the worst sort of muggles imaginable. They really are.
The only family he has.
This boy will be famous. There won't be a child in our world who doesn't know his name.
Exactly. He's far better off growing up away from all of that. Until he is ready.
But sometimes you can just altogether skip the narration and just have a high intense, kick-ass entrance scene that's going to blow you away with guns, with explosions, with, my God, just awesomeness. Whew, I am out of breath. I need to exercise. So let's do a complete breakdown of the prologue for Bumblebee, as it was one of my favorite prologues. I think it worked so well. I think it was so much fun, and it served its function so perfectly well. And it's a perfect example of how to do a really good prologue.
Too many of them!
So from the immediate onset, we're given a war, and we're jumped straight into the middle of a giant battle scene, one that is determining the fate between these two faction groups that we're seeing battle it out in the middle of an alien planet. We are then introduced to one of the most important characters of the entire movie, the character Bumblebee, as he is the name of the movie. You'd kind of want to see him at this point. And so we get to see him in action in the middle of the battle, fighting it out. And then we are introduced to none other than Optimus Prime, who we know as the leader of the resistance here. And his character really serves as the exposition. He is the narration, if you will, but being done in the form of dialogue, giving that command to Bumblebee, letting him know that of where he's headed and what he needs to do.
First, I found a planet that's well hidden. Earth. You will travel there and establish a base for us. Once we've gathered the others, we'll join you. You must protect the planet. If the Decepticons find it, then our people are truly finished. Now go.
And then we just get some more general blowing up badass shots, sequences, introductions. Everything is slick. We are introduced to some amazing CGI. We are in some fantastic fight scenes, ones that we can actually coherently see, unlike other films.
I'll take you all on!
I do feel like the dialogue between Bumblebee and Optimus was very clunky though. Like, Optimus needed more time explaining why he was sending Bumblebee to Earth. Like, why would you send Bumblebee to a planet knowing that there is life on it, rather than to a planet literally right next door, void of any life? I mean, is that not even for consideration? No? Okay. Moving on, I suppose. So one of my favorite things about this movie, and what it's done really clever with this prologue, is how it actually sets up an integral conflict between Bumblebee and the US military. As we as an audience are given information that the humanoid characters aren't aware of, which is Bumblebee is there to defend the planet, which these guys obviously don't know. So we finally get a moment in which the Decepticons live up to their freaking name and are deceptive.
The humans are multiplying. Please, let me kill them.
Not yet. B-127's signal has gone silent. I have an idea.
Listen up!
And ultimately, this becomes a pivotal moment for Bumblebee, who has to not only protect the inhabitants, but protect the inhabitants that are trying to kill him, making the stakes a little bit more complicated and a little bit higher. So it's something that I've really loved. So what have we learned? Well, now the audience knows that this is going to be an action-packed movie with explosion, well-designed CGI characters and fights. We already know who the characters are, the villains are, and we are given an introduction into one of the best films, I think, that the Transformers franchise has been able to put out there. I think overall this film actually scored pretty decently in Rotten Tomatoes from like 2 years ago. I've definitely enjoyed it. It was kind of nice to see this film get the treatment that it deserved, and to get a moment in the spotlight in which it was actually critically enjoyed as well, not just a huge box office hit. But yeah, it was one that I think definitely needs a second viewing. So if you haven't watched it, definitely recommend it. If you have watched it, let me know what you think, and let me know if I was too far off it or not. As I said, this is my first video, so I am going to try and lengthen it out from this point onwards, as this would be considered probably a fairly short video. But let me hear your thoughts. I am very open to feedback, and I am very sensitive though. I bruise like a peach, so be nice. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Take care, guys.